we haven't really had the chance to talk about anything current ongoing.
Yeah.
And obviously the really big news, unfortunately, is Toriyama passed away. About probably like 2-3 weeks ago by the time of this recording.
By the time, I mean, I remember. So
and a lot of people wanted us to talk about it.
Yeah.
And obviously that's not why we're talking about it. We're talking about it because we want to talk about it.
We wanted to talk about it anyway, but the exact moment we found out, I don't know why this keeps happening. Because this has happened twice now, which is weird that it's happened twice.
Yeah.
A well-respected manga who we all respect, and we find out with each other during some kind of recording. Because I remember when Miura passed away, we were at a Netflix shoot, and then I had just gotten out of the toilet, and then Joey goes, "Fucking hell, I think Miura just like passed away." And then same thing with Toriyama this time. I was like,
kind of ruined the recording for the rest of the day. You know, it was a real downer.
Yeah. And then we were about to record a Trash Taste episode or something like 2 weeks ago.
And then found out Toriyama
passed away.
Like first day of the month, right? So 1st of March, I believe.
Yeah, but it was announced on the 8th.
Yeah,
I believe
because I think they'd already done the funeral service. I think they did like a private funeral service,
which I think is the right way to go about it.
Yeah, I agree.
I was like,
I agree.
Too many times I think like celebrities get passed away straight away, and then it becomes like this whole news thing for anyone in their personal lives and personal family can even like mourn about it as well. But I mean, my timeline was just completely stacked, obviously, as it would with Toriyama and his legacy.
And what a legacy as well. Jesus Christ.
I mean, it's reflected by just how many people were talking about it and were affected by it. I mean, like I've never seen the internet collectively mourn.
I mean, you know, it's the fact of the matter is that, like, obviously, you know, Dragon Ball was such a massive part of everyone's lives, like regardless of like, you know, if you're like from our generation or older or young and stuff like that. But it's also the fact that like he did so much more than Dragon Ball as well. Like, you know, he did, you know, character designer for like some of the best JRPGs ever created, like Dragon Quest and like Chrono Trigger, and like that's just like one tiny thing that he did, you know. And it's going to be interesting to see because the Dragon Ball Super manga is still currently serializing, I believe.
It is?
I believe so.
Oh, wow.
So, but like he didn't, but Toriyama didn't write it. I believe he just supervised it. Correct me if I'm wrong, comments, which I'm sure you will anyway. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if that's going to like just get abruptly cut, or if they're going to do kind of like a mirror thing and just kind of go as far as they can with the notes that he left. But
I mean, there's been a lot of Dragon Ball media that has existed outside of Toriyama, as far as I know.
Did you see?
Maybe not that story.
Did you see one that I thought was very bittersweet? Was the fact? Oh, it's okay. So it says Dragon Ball Super could be reaching the conclusion soon. Okay, well, I mean, obviously that makes sense. Well, one thing I did see that was kind of bittersweet was apparently I forgot the guy's name. The main actor who played Goku in the live action Dragon Ball
that's really good.
wrote a public apology to Toriyama and his
Wait,
family.
he did?
Yeah. He wrote a public apology to Toriyama and his family, being like, "I am so sorry for this movie."
I did not know that happened.
Well, that's goat behavior, man.
Pays tribute by apologizing for Dragon Ball Evolution.
Wrote an apology letter.
He said, "Sorry, we messed up."
Yeah, he's like, "Sorry, we messed it up so badly."
Holy shit.
There's also, I think, the government of El Salvador did a statement saying,
"Really?
No mourning." Yeah, dude. I mean, like,
Holy crap.
Goku is bigger than anything in Latin America, and I mean, Dragon Balls were known worldwide, and I think that it was also really cool in a sense because, you know, the modern way of communicating for the Gen Z and Gen X, whatever they're called, is memes. And seeing all like the memes made out of love was really cool as well. And seeing how people were just expressing like their jokes.
It was like legitimately, it was legitimately one of the first times even that the internet collectively came together on a toxic as shit platform like Twitter and was like, for today, guys, no toxicity. Only wholesomeness for the GOAT. And I was like, God damn.
I mean, you would like to think, you would like to think what the entire industry would be like without, you know, Toriyama's influence, because Dragon Ball inspired not only like a generation of people, but even like a generation of like artists, and has changed anime and manga forever.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I mean, for a lot of people outside of like Japan, like Dragon Ball was the show that put anime on the map.
Yeah.
So many people had no freaking clue what anime even was until they saw and fell in love with Dragon Ball on like their Saturday morning cartoons, and was like, oh, this is what anime is.
Yeah.
And that's like super impressive to do.
Yeah. And just like, the influence that Goku as and the entire cast of Dragon Ball has had on just, I think we like to, I don't know if we downplay or if we just don't think about the effect that seeing characters like Goku can have on our childhood and just like shaping our morals and like, teaching us to be good people. I think that's part of the reason why superheroes are characterized the way they are. A lot of the times we see these characters as a kid and we don't think about it too much because we're just like developing our young minds. But I remember like, being a kid, I was like, if Goku can be like this, if Goku can be a good person, then, I should be a good person as well.
No, totally.
And I think just seeing that influence, planting that seed as we were a kid and just seeing it grow up to try to be like the best people we can be just shows how much of an influence just one person can have on a piece of fictional media. And I think it's insane.
I did just remember, actually, I feel like I gotta look it up, but like the one that almost like legitimately made me cry was Oda's message.
Oh, Oda's message.
Toriyama.
Holy shit. Yeah, that
I
one.
didn't see this.
Oda,
What did he say?
the
One
one-
Piece, he wrote like a morning letter, like a letter of respect towards Toriyama. And like it's like a full paragraph of like, him saying like, you were one of the biggest influences for me growing up, and you were the one who inspired me to draw and all that. And that final line that he writes in this letter, everyone on the internet was just like, God damn it, Oda. Why did you have to say it like that? He said, I hope heaven is as delightful as you imagined it in your manga.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, bro.
I saw like what's his name? I Shield 21 author?
Murakami.
Murakami gave a message as well. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Very sweet.
I mean, there was
so cool.
There was I don't remember if I don't know if this was official or not, or if someone just like kind of collected it over time, but I did see on Twitter of like a bunch of manga authors drawing Goku in their respective
really
styles, and just like
Gintama author, I thought.
Gintama author did it.
Too.
Yeah,
Really
Oda
cool.
did it. Kishimoto did it. And it's just like, it
Goats.
just goes to show like, these goats like, looked up to a dude like Toriyama, and that if that doesn't show you just how much of an impact this guy made on the world of manga, then I don't know what else could,
I saw some people getting angry when I did a tweet and I was like, I just said bro, because I was like, oh my God, I can't believe you passed.
Yeah.
And people were like, you don't even like Dragon Ball. And I'm like, well, I don't think you have to like Dragon Ball or like any of the media to not appreciate the impact that a man like Toriyama had. I think it's not hard to appreciate. That everything you like has probably been somewhat, especially if you're an anime fan or an otaku, in some way, even video games, right? It's all tangentially all been inspired by this one great piece of work. And also other works as well.
Yeah. And I think that's just part of the internet being like, well, you weren't a super fan, so you're not allowed to. Sometimes you feel.
To me, I don't see it as, I think it's just, everyone deals with their grief in a different way. And I think when some people who are super fans or they really love something, they're like, they it's so dear to them. And I think it's just a way of like lashing out in a sense, like, man, it's pathetic. It shouldn't, but like, I understand where it comes from, right? You're like really fucking devastated about this. And you feel that like, hey, this guy didn't connect with it the same way I did. The same piece of media the way I did. I don't feel like it's fair that he's like mourning in a sense.
Yeah,
and
but I think
so it is like a petty way, but I can understand where it's just a lot of emotions, man. People are sad. People are very sad and they're grieving.
Yeah, but I think, just because you're not a fan of something, it doesn't necessarily mean like
it's petty. I think
you're not allowed to mourn,
it's
for
petty.
someone.
Because
like,
I feel like there's like, a fine line between someone who, paying respects to someone who definitely deserves it, like Toriyama, and, we have not been shy of, let's say, clowning on...
I've clowned on Dragon Ball more than anyone.
Yeah, clowning on Dragon Ball 1, especially like clowning on Dragon Ball fans. We have had a history of doing that.
We have made fun of Dragon Ball fans so much.
We've more so than not clowned on the fans than the actual show, I feel. Yeah,
but, I think it's just being a fucking adult to be like, hey, you can still respect what this person has done.
Absolutely.
Even if there are people who have connected with the media more than you have. And, a lot of people see that on the internet and they're like, oh, you're faking it. You're two-faced.
Yeah.
Because you have had this, you've had this way that you've portrayed your opinions of this work and the fan base, and now you're like suddenly 180. Well, no, sometimes people can just want to not be a fucking asshole.
Yeah. I think regardless, if someone passes, it's a hard thing to process regardless, even if you know them or didn't know them or like any kind of aspect of that. And I think you can be sad about it. There's a lot to unpack, but I think that even if it's the fact that we feel comfortable enough in the past to make fun of the fan base is like almost a compliment to the size of the impact, right? Like if it was, it's not fun to make fun of Seven Deadly Sins fans anymore because there are none. There is no Seven Deadly Sins fans, you know what I mean? Like,
but if
like I think in a sense, like being able to like have that funny discourse and banter. At the end of the day, it's all jokes, right? We all make fun of each other for being fans of different media, and I think that just again, it's another aspect that speaks to the impact of it. That so many people. The fan base is so dedicated.
I mean, making fun of Seven Deadly Sins fans now, it's just like punching a...
It's punching down too much.
It's like punching a disabled puppy at this point, It's just like, they've had enough L's, man. It just feels
Why
bad.
did the puppy have to be disabled?
I don't know.
Right? Was punching down the puppy not enough?
You could have just said child, like...
Also saying it like a disabled puppy. It's like, you're like, yeah, you're some park over there.
I was like, a puppy just ain't bad enough.
We really have to drive home the fact that this thing is truly helpless.
Look, it just, at this point, it was fun at one point.
That's something I would say. I'm surprised you came out with that. That's a me comment.
I just seeing every new Seven Deadly Sins adaptation. I'm like, is it even fun to clown on them anymore?
No, it's just beating a dead horse.
All right, let's just go back. Let's just go to Jujutsu Kaisen because they deserve to be clowned on.
This puppy isn't disabled.
The moment that I found out about Toriyama passing, it just made me, because I've been wanting to play Chrono Trigger for so long, and now I'm like, okay, now I got to do it.
I mean, it's sad to think now that we'll never get a Chrono Trigger remake now because of this. But I did in this past week. I did replay Chrono Trigger.
You did?
Oh, yeah.
Because I had to.
I really want to play it.
I really want to play it
It's
as
one
well.
of my favorite JRPGs of all time, and his character designs are just so goddamn good in that. I was just like, this is the best way I can pay respects to Toriyama, and I've played that game maybe 10, 20 times at least. Still goated. Still an amazing experience.
Yeah, I need to play it as well.
Yep.
I know it's one of the best JRPGs, as you said.
It is, yeah.
And everyone says that as well. Yeah, I don't know. It's I'm gonna have to try and find time to go and play it as well.
I mean, this has been
another 20 hours. I've played too many JRPGs.
This has been the
recently,
month for JRPGs, man. I've
the month, more like the fucking year or
so
like
far.
2 years.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I was saying to Gant earlier before we started the podcast, I finished three JRPGs in the past month.
Oh, so you've worked a full-time job in the
I've worked a full-time job in the past month in terms of playing games.
Yeah, we didn't have any Trash Chase recordings last week,
Yeah.
and I was like, I'll play like 2 hours of Persona 3 since I was just like, I'll just like.
We didn't have any recording last week?
No, we didn't.
No.
Oh, I didn't remember that.
We recorded 2 weeks ago.
I thought it was last week.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
And I was like, I'll play a few hours of Persona, and then here I am a week later, like 50 hours. I didn't get anything.
That's the
fucking
Persona
done.
effect.
I know. I fucking hate
Just
it.
sucks you in.
I fucking hate it. It's so goddamn addicting.
Yeah.
And normally with JRPGs, I'm like, I can casually just like invest maybe an hour, maybe like a few hours every night, and just like that's how I can play JRPGs and still manage the rest of my fucking life.
Yeah.
But Persona is just like impossible.
Persona's like, you don't have a life.
Yeah.
While this game is on,
Yeah, you don't have a life.
you are a
until-
NEET.
Yeah.